So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Miss Adjeley. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited because I've also followed your journey. I feel like I followed everyone's journey personally when it comes to all of the speakers here. And that's why I, reached out to a lot of you all, because I've got a chance to see you, when you first got, well, I don't know if you first got on the scene, but I started following you maybe some years ago, 3 years ago. I think you started.
That's when I first, yeah.
And you started school to become a medical herbalist in the UK. And just to let you all know, over in America and Canada, herbalism is not regulated. You cannot get a certified degree that's recognized over here in the US. However, in places like the UK, herbalism is regulated, and you can get a medical herbalist degree, medical herbalist training, and that is something that Adjeley has went through. And so I'm very much interested in hearing your experience. I feel like that's a whole nother topic of discussion, but I'm excited about your session. She is sharing about herbs from her culture, which is another culture in Ghana. And we're keeping the indigenous spirit rolling. So I'm going to hand it over to her, and she is going to begin sharing about her culture and her rituals, and people are rolling in. Thank you all for rejoining us. And I will go ahead and give Na the floor.
Thank you. Now, I know that we've had a bit of a long day, so I'm going to get people just for the first 30 seconds, just shake it out and make some noise, because I know you've been around. So if you're there, just do a little bit of a dance so that we can just revive ourselves ahead of my presentation. Hey to all the UK people. I'm going to share my screen because I have a presentation with me. So, host disabled participant screen sharing. If you could.
So that was the issue before. And so now I'm going to, I don't know why I've never done this, but I'm allowing you to also share your screen. I was just making people the host, but you should be able to share screen now. Let me know if you see that option.
Yep, it's come through. Is everybody seeing my presentation now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, perfect. So let's get started. Who am I? So my name is Adjeley. People also call me Trofanye, which is herbalist in the Ga language. And I'm a GaDangme woman, which is the name of my ethnic group who was born and raised in the UK. I like to say that just to kind of encourage people who are trying to discover themselves and go on their own journey, that the ancestors and the spirits and the energies are not sleeping. So even if you're outside of your country of origin, they have a way to bring you back to source. I'm a cultural historian, so I've been learning about my heritage and my culture for over 20 years now. The more I learn, the more I wonder, why has it been demonized so much? I'm also a medical herbalist and founder of Trofanye, which is an organization aimed at empowering people to take charge of their own health based on what I've learned about my heritage and culture, which for me, I feel gives us a roadmap towards healing, especially with what's going on in the modern day. I would like to categorically say that I believe in my cultures and traditions. I'd never, ever refer to my culture traditions as fetish or any derogatory terms like the colonizers have taught some of us to do. So what I will talk about today is about the herbs in my culture and tradition, but I will start off by talking about the context in which this practice happens, because it's very different approach compared to the whole herbalism that, for example, how I studied in the West. So the first is the context as a group. For us, herbalism isn't something, it's not a separate entity. It's a way of life. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we do. It is not separate or something that is in some secret corner somewhere. We recognize that the earth provides us with sources of maintaining our mental, physical, and spiritual health. And we recognize that in all we do. And I've listed some examples. So for example, the Kojemo is the naming ceremony. This is when the child first receives their name. Before this time, they're considered to be a spirit that's deciding whether or not they wish to stay. So once they receive the name on that day, certain things happen that kind of illustrate how much we value the earth and what it has to offer. So for example, we put the baby on the floor, we connect them to the earth, we are introducing the child to the elements. And because this occurs in the family home, it's also literally where the ancestors have been buried. And lots of effort historically has been made to disconnect people from their family homes. We also introduce children to the elements. So we'll put our hand in water, tap it on their tongue, and let them know to recognize this as water as life. It's our preferred liquid of libation. And we let them recognize it as life, we let them recognize it as truth. The other thing that happens is the prayer. The prayer kind of gives examples of the tenets of our culture, what we value in our culture. And there's a couple of things that we say in that I think highlights our view in terms of spirituality and herbalism. And that is, we say that acknowledge the world. Now, the Ghana word for me illustrates more physically, but also what you see spiritually. We are not taught to run away from spirit or be scared of it. Another thing that we say in the prayer is koyo tra dango. So what that basically means is the wind blows before we speak. Now, there's been a number of reasons why people say that we include this. Some of them, it's essentially saying that we as Ghana people, we don't just speak anyhow. And part of that is because the spiritual world was part of our lives. And even if when you're walking around and you see something spiritual, you don't just open your mouth and talk, you go about your business. You think about it before you talk. So this is just examples in terms of the birthing ceremonies. In our everyday, there are group rituals that are designed to help keep us as people in balance with the earth. And one of these group rituals is the ban on drumming and noise making, which occurs every year in Accra, Ghana, which is where the Ghana people in particular are based. During this time, it happens straight after the sacred planting of the food that we celebrate at our festival. And it's a period of meditation. So there's no clapping, no singing, no drumming, no noise making, no parties, no funerals during this time. It is silence, because silence is also medicine. And if you think about what's going on in our modern age, the constant bombardment with information, the news, the media is a way of dampening us spiritually. So silence is also a form of medicine. But we also have day-to-day etiquette. So what you see pictured is a girl with a leaf in her mouth. So I remember speaking to an elder and I wanted to learn more about Ghana etiquette. And what she said is, if you see someone walking around with a leaf in their mouth, do not greet them. And that's because in my culture, this means they've taken a vow of silence. So you can find people with leaves in your mouth and you just know they're not supposed to talk. They have taken that vow, and we use the leaf to do that. Another example is how we might talk about somebody dying. So I've written Eyacheba Ebadon Alo Ekuese, which means he went to harvest the leaf or come back. This is our way of saying that somebody has died. Now, as an individual, we as human beings in parts of our culture considered to be made up of four things. We have the gomotro, which is like person tree. It is the casing that houses who we are as people. This is when we're talking about sick, people are usually talking about what's happening with the gomotro. Then we have the susuma, which is like the spirit self. It's the who we are as an individual. The susuma knows who we are, why we're here. And it's that we need to communicate with and understand our inner self that we need to allow to communicate. And sometimes it's the first thing in modern living that is attacked. It is the reason it knows everything about us and what we need. So if you are not supposed to do anything, you do things to please your susuma. If you've gone through something major, you celebrate. So I remember when I felt ill and I was asked to have an event after I came out because it was very serious situation to do. And then I was told that I should do it for my susuma to acknowledge the role that my spirit self has played in keeping me there. When someone dies, it's because the susuma has left and not come back. So the susuma is very important. The Kla, we have something that we call Kladbi, which is like the Kla day. I would describe the Kla as almost like the spirit that's associated with the day that you were born. For us, the day you were born is almost more important than the actual date. So if I was born on a Monday, so if my birthday fell on a Saturday, I won't have my oto or my birthday meal until the Monday. Most of my celebrations won't occur until the Monday after my birthday. And what's important here is that if you're doing anything, like you're doing any prayers, you're doing any making of medicine or anything that you want to add extra vim, ideally you do it on the day you were born. Sometimes people wear light colors on the day they were born. They would fast on the day they were born, because the spirit associated with the day you're born will kind of add itself to what you're doing, extra vim. So, and then we have the Gbeshi. The Gbeshi, prior to, yeah, hello?
You're freezing a lot. Can you try turning your video off to decrease the bandwidth? Let's try that, because you're freezing about every few minutes.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
We can. Let's see if this works.
Okay, so do you want me to, I was just talking about the Gbeshi, which is the negative side of the human being, which is part of who we are. Now, prior to colonization, we didn't really have a concept of the devil as you'll experience it in the West. So the Gbeshi is part of who we are and is supposed to stay at the back where it informs us. And so maintaining health, especially health herbally and spiritually, is about keeping the Gbeshi at the back where it informs rather than controls. So causes of sickness. Now, if the Gbeshi, a lot of the rituals and the herbal medicine that we use is about keeping things in balance, keeping the Susuma and the Kla happy, keeping your Bomocho happy, and keeping the Gbeshi at the back. When it comes to the front, it's more controlling you rather than informing. And the Gbeshi wouldn't allow you to engage in activities that are for your health and for your benefit. So when we talk about sickness, a lot of the time, sickness starts with something wrong spiritually. By the time it becomes physical, it's been going on for a while. And so Adjeley coming to the front is one of the causes of sickness. An unhappy Susuma or Kla is also another cause of sickness. And one of those reasons might be you have a purpose to achieve and you're not achieving that purpose. The Susuma knows why you're here and you're not listening to it. You're not, you're doing certain things that are not allowing you to hear. Also, lack of self-discipline, especially when the Gbeshis come to the front, you're not doing the right things like meditation, those daily rituals, those communal rituals that we do is about keeping everything in balance. And when you don't have that discipline, that could also cause the other elements of you to come out of place. Then you've got bad character and breaking family rules. These are all the things that can happen when your Gbeshis come into the front and encouraging you to take behaviors that are not really positive. If we look at what's happening in the world, one can argue that we're being run by people whose Gbeshis are at the front, leading them and defining what they do and creating paradigms around that. So I put physical as separate, but the physical is intertwined with the behaviors associated with a misplaced Gbeshi or an unhappy Susuma or Kla. So when you have that disconnect, then you might have physical illness. So when we talk about herbal medicine, we're talking about medicine that works on all of these levels and not just the physical. So the practice of herbalism in our culture, you could do it in a variety of ways. You can have an apprenticeship. Our family houses, because a lot of family houses, the importance of them is that sometimes we have energies that have an affinity with the people from a family house, and therefore they will practice a certain type of medicine. We also have where the spirit chooses you or the ancestral wisdom chooses you. And in those kind of situations, it may come with rules like what food to avoid, you don't eat this, or you will fast on a certain day. And then we also have in Ghana a good course in studying of herbalism as well. Now, when you practice medicine, there is an expectation that you have a certain kind of lifestyle. You respect everything. You respect all people, including the plants. You just don't go and pick it anyhow. The other thing is maintenance of good character. So my grandma, when I said I was becoming a herbalist, would always talk to me and say to me, I'm someone that can sometimes hold on to anger when somebody's offended me. And she would always say that if you hold on to anger, it affects your medicine. So you shouldn't hold on to anger. You should learn to forgive. And we are not allowed to curse, because the same mouth you're going to be using to pick the plants and speak to the plants and create your medicine, you're now using it to curse people. That's not how it works. But also you have to have the ability to listen to your Kla and Susuma and respond. Because sometimes what happens is somebody might come to you not feeling well, and then their Susuma will speak to your Susuma and tell you what's wrong. But also the plants have energy and spirit too. So if you're able to listen to your Susuma, when you go out into the forest to pick your plants, the plants will tell you, okay, pick this, pick me, and make this medicine, even if it's a disease that you've not heard. But also keeping the Gbeshi at the back. And that is the importance of these rituals. It's about preventative medicine. These things, you don't wait till you're sick. When you're having your fasting day, when you're wearing lighter colors on a particular day, when you're meditating, it's a preventative medicine to make sure that all elements of yourself are in the right place and in balance. So here are some examples of preparations that we use. We have the pot, which is the pot that you can see at the top. We also used to store water. That was our fridge back in the day, but there's a version of it we used to cook. So it's usually earthenware, calabashes and stone that we use for our preparations. But also we have something called tea, which is like a powder that we might put on, either ingest it or you might put on a scar. We do a lot of bathing as precursor to using and the usage of medicine. So what I'm about to play now is, what we're about to go into is the different herbs that we have in my culture and how we use them. The first one we spoke about quite a bit today, but it is the herb of choice for our Play religion, which is the religion of the Ga people in particular. And what you're about to see is the leaders using that as part of spiritual cleansing.
We get the information is still flowing in. The ancestors are still with us, okay?
We still got our back. So
yes.
What I'll do is I'll share my screen again, and then go to the next slide and explain what happened in the video. Is everything okay now?
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah, so can you see, oh, sorry, let me just stop this video. Okay, so, oh, sorry, I've gone a bit further back. So what you saw in the video was the head priest of an area within Ga called La was doing a cleansing ceremony for the leaders of the town. So we had the Ga, the La king, who had the Nyanyara necklace around his neck. He's crossed over since I took that video. And then you had other priests who were praying and putting their hands in the bowl and washing their head with the water 3 times. It had Nyanyara and water in it. And essentially that is a form of cleansing. So Nyanyara for us is very important in driving away evil. You will find bunches like this. So I have Nyanyara at home. Either if you're working in a taxi, you put that on the taxi to kind of ward away evil, or you put it in doorways or windowsills. It's also used a lot in purification ceremonies, as you saw in the video. So a lot of the time when we're administering medicine, we start off by purifying and cleansing before we apply the medicine. So you might find that each season that you might want to take a Nyanyara bath to kind of purify you and provide also protection. So as you see in the video, and a lot of the spiritual activities or events that we with the Nyanyara around their neck whilst they're doing those activities as a form of protection. Because when you're engaging in spiritual activities, you're opening yourself up also to more than just what you see. It's also used, as mentioned previously, as an antibacterial and also as an anti-diabetic.
Can you
Now,
turn your camera off again to increase the bandwidth? So you're getting a little choppy over here.
can
There
you
we
hear me better now? Okay.
Yes, you can. You're great.
I have another video. So should I play it or should I just wait for?
Send me the link and then I'll play it. Drop the
Okay.
link in the chat and I'll play it. It seems as though if I decrease the quality of the video, that may work. But again, if people are saying the audio is choppy or bad, it is in a different language as well. So be knowledgeable, be conscious about that.
What I would say is that the language itself is a lot of what's going on is more like conversation that's happening in the background rather than them saying anything important. What I'm highlighting more in the video is what they're actually doing. So when you get the chance to watch the video, two things are happening in this one. So there is a plant called machu, which is the inflorescence of the African oil palm that we use as a form of incense. The girls, the people that you see in white are actually young girls about to engage in the puberty rites. So the first part of the puberty rite is a cleansing ceremony. They're cleansed with the machu around their head. As they go towards the sea, they have a cleansing bath. Once they've had the bath, they come back and then they stay in the family house for a few days to learn about who they are, to learn about their bodies, just to learn about becoming a woman. And then they're dressed in their traditional finery and they come out. So this is an example of a purification ceremony that happens during the puberty rites. And then the second half of the video is showing a New Year ceremony amongst the GaDangme people called Mayem. And it's in a big green space, but prior to that event starting, they are clearing the space with the incense of the African oil palm. So this is what this video is showing happening in Ghana. So. Go for as much as I can. So the machu that you saw, we basically call, it comes from a type of palm tree, and we have a saying that machuji manche, which means it's king, because we use every part of that palm tree for something. So the inflorescence we use as a form of incense, we also make brooms from it as a literal broom, but we also use it as a spiritual broom to sweep away negative energy. So if, for example, a woman is going through a really tough labor, we might spiritually sweep away the negative energies. We also use, back in the day, we used to use the palm fronds in tragic deaths. So if somebody died in a really horrific way, sometimes it's said that the spirit will disturb the area where they died and cause havoc. So what used to happen is that a priest and a family member used to go to the area, make some prayers, also possibly make a sacrifice, and then it's expected that the spirit of the dead person will now attach to the palm frond, and then they will take the palm frond without looking back all the way back to the family house, have a ceremony and use it, and then bury the palm frond and then bring the person back to peace. So it's used for so many different things. We also use it palm oil for food, as it's you're able to heat it quite high and it's very, very nutritious. And we also have palm kernel oil, which we use for the skin.
Then we have something we call Tami or Wu, which I understand is also called miracle leaf. Its name it kind of tells you what the spiritual meaning is. Tami or Wu is actually in the tree language, and it's translated almost to, if you hate me, you will die. I prefer to talk it as a back to sender leaf. So if somebody is hating on you and sending negativity your way, this is a leaf that will send it right back at them. So when you could use the leaf to tell it your wishes, like you have something that you want to do and you need some backing and you need some protections, you could tell it your wishes, put it under your pillow and you will dream. It's also something that neutralizes negative forces, so can be planted in farms as a preventative of theft and evil intentions. Then we have Adjeley, which is we know as castor oil. Now, this plant can be used as part of a spiritual bath. So you pick one with 7, which will be quite young, the young leaves. You put it in rainwater. Rainwater for us is very significant, and we also use it a lot in medicine. And you use the water to bath, and you don't wash the water off you. And then it said that evil-minded people can't come near you. So where you're going to somewhere where you know there might be a lot of negativity around you, and you just don't want that drama, this is a way that you can use the leaf of the castor oil plant. And then also another thing is the dried seed, powdered, is used as a form of incense, not in the same way as matru. This is almost like an identifier of people with very negative mindsets and energies who are actively practicing that. Because it said that when you burn this, they will have a very negative reaction to you burning it. And that gives you the knowledge that the person who's around you hasn't got good vibes and is not a very good person. Then we have kocha. Well, kocha means sponge, and we have different plants that we would use for sponge. And one of them is Momordica stipala. And the spiritual uses is that we use it as a bath for dead bodies. So what you're seeing in the picture is something that we call kochagbamo. Now, Boyanje is almost the place that the dead people go to cross over and settle. And there are certain rituals that they have to do as a rite of passage in order to cross over. So when somebody dies, we have to make sure that as a community that we do these rites of passage. And so everybody brings elements that is needed in order for this spiritual bath to occur. And so what you'll find if in the corner of the picture, if it's clear, is somebody's carrying this metal container with lots of sponges in it, because maybe the in-laws family or your work colleagues, they've all bought the things that you need in order to have this spiritual bath. And what happens, a little bit of each of the bundles is taken to form one sponge that will be used to bath you and then help you, along with some other things, to do the rites in order for you to cross over. The other thing is, it's every day. It's also used in general. This was before we had those plastic nets. This was what we would use as a sponge to bath ourselves. And I remember one of the elders who lived in the house of a priestess used to do was, there was a form of sponge similar to this that they used to chew to clean their teeth. And at the end of the time, when they finished doing that, the grandmother will tell them to bring it all to her. Then she'll dry it, wash it, and then use it as a sponge bathing for babies. Then this is another one, abonwa, which is like lemon or lime. This is also one of the things that are used in the funeral rites and the bathing of a dead body. It is parts of what the communities all bring to ensure that the last rites of the person, in order for them to cross over, are done. It's also used in separation ceremonies, as well as kola nuts is also something else that's used in separation ceremonies. And by separation ceremonies, when you are in a relationship or you have a very tight relationship, like you're a twin or you're a married couple, there is a saying that when one of them or one part of you passes over, there is a possibility that you'll bring the other person with you. And so these ceremonies are conducted to kind of get permission or create a separation so that doesn't happen. And one of the things they do is cut the lemon in half, or they cut the cola in half, and then how it lands will determine whether the separation has been agreed or not. And they will keep throwing it until it lands on the way that the separation has agreed, which is a one up, one down. The other way it's used is deodorant. It is a very good deodorant, talking from experience. If you're somebody that has a very, very strong sense that normal deodorant might not help, before you bath, you apply the lemon to your armpits, give it about 5 minutes, brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, and then you go to the bath, you bath, and then you apply it again. So this is also used as a deodorant. Then I'm also talking about a food. Although I mentioned herb, I think food is very important because as I talked about the 4 elements of a person and maintaining balance, one of the things that can numb and cause an imbalance is food. So that thing we do where we put ourselves into a food coma doesn't just numb you physically, it could also numb you spiritually. So you will not be able to hear. If food is your thing, you will not be able to understand what's going on. So what you see pictured is during one of the GaDangme New Year festivals called Mayem. Now, the hand that has the white bracelets is actually a priestess. And what they're doing is they're doing communion with the main food that has supported the community for forever, and that's millet. And during puberty rites, this is one of the few times where people go back to the ancient foods. It was when I was researching puberty rites that I found out things like jollof rice and fried rice, which is a main staple now in our culture, is considered a junk food. They do not eat these things during puberty rites. And a lot of the transitions, the food that is eaten during these transitions, before they come out for the naming ceremony, even in some marriage rites, what you eat is of extreme importance. So when you're marking a transition in your life or any kind of ceremony that is marking a transition in season, the diet is very important. And it's much higher in nutrition in comparison to rice. So when we're talking about keeping the rishi at the back, pleasing our susuma and our kla, and using this herbal medicine, we're not just talking about it working on a physical level. The plants are spiritual, and they're also working on us in the spiritual level in terms of maintaining spirituality, but also if anything does go wrong, returning us back to source. So apologies for the tech issues, but yeah, if you have any questions and answers, please feel free to ask.
All right, I will read the questions off. I think you can come back on video. Yeah, I think it was just the video and then the screen share as well. But that was amazing. I feel like I have to go back and rewatch your segment because I'm like, oh wow, I was learning things myself. Yeah, you all know I like to say show some love. How did you all appreciate Na Adjeley's session? Na Adjeley, what's your favorite color?
Let's go with blue.
Are there blue hearts? Drop some blue hearts.
We have blue hearts
in the chat to show some love for this session we just had. If you all appreciate it, let us know. I learned some things myself, and I will be going back to revisit some of those questions. We do have about 6 minutes per question, so we'll go ahead and try to get through them as soon as possible. I know people have been saying we can't get through a lot of the questions. If you all have more questions, I will reach out to Nas separately to see if maybe you can come on at a different time and do another VIP kind of, answer some questions, if that's a possibility. So the first question is, can you recommend any schools in the UK for someone who wants to become certified in herbalism?
Yeah, so if you are interested in paying the extremely high tuition fees, there is one university that does herbalism, and it's Lincoln College. But we also have some online ones as well, or distance learning. So I learned it at Hartwood. We also have Botanica. So those are the ones that I'm aware of. But I have a video on my YouTube talking about some of these schools and also the organizations that I credit that might be able to give you a list as well. And that's it. And School of Herbal Medicine, that's right. So yeah, those are the schools that you can use.
We just shared Na Adjeley's YouTube in the chat, so go ahead and click on that. The next question is, can you elaborate on the Kla Susuma?
Yeah, so the Susuma is the spirit self. That is the true you. And in terms of what's happening in the modern world with the media and all that kind of stuff, the idea is to separate you from to be able to understand the true you. You know, that intuition that you have that knows exactly why you're here and what you're supposed to be doing. And when you're acting up, makes you feel like, nah, I shouldn't be doing this. That's your Susuma. The Kla is the spirit associated with the day you were born. So everybody has a spirit that governs them. So when you're doing any activity that you want to add extra vim to, it's always said to do it on the day you were born. So fasting, day you were born. Finishing off a job application, do it on the day you were born. dress in lighter colors, try not to dress in too dark colors on the day you were born. So the Klai is like the spirit associated with the day you were born, and you have to keep that balance in terms of maintaining health.
And then what about what they were doing in the video as far as burning? Were they burning the palm oil? What were they doing with the red palm?
Yeah, it's this. And they're burning this, and this is the incense.
Ah, okay.
That they're using. So it's called matru. So yeah.
The next question, is there any reason that it was only men to the front of the puberty rituals, right?
I had loads of videos. I've got a ton of videos, and some of them had women, but what I didn't want to do was identify the faces of the children. So the video I found where the children weren't identified were with the men around. But yeah, the women are the ones that are carrying out the tradition and teaching the girls. They were in the family house, and yeah, so they're central to the puberty rites.
Someone is asking about the castor oil plant. They believe that it's poisonous. Can you
Yeah,
speak on that?
Poison. There is a poison within the seed. So yeah, don't ingest it if you don't know what you're doing. But yes, there is a poison in the seed.
So it's ingesting it, but you can bathe and everything. And
yeah, we get the oil for your hair from that. So yeah, so using the leaves to bathe and put it in the rainwater and wash. That's okay. Yeah.
All right, we have 2 more minutes to try to take 2 more questions. Who is the man cleansing the girls? Why isn't he in Baba white or proper attire?
So what I would say is that some of these traditions are occurring in areas that are actually quite poor. And so in terms of that dressing up and stuff, yeah, it might not happen. So ideally it should happen with the appropriate attire, but in this case where it was going on, that did not occur. But for me, I would use it as an example that no matter where you are in stage, what you can and can't afford, do what you can.
And then the last question is, can you please elaborate on the part where someone can be chosen by ancestors and therefore could be some foods that they can eat? I don't understand the question, but do you understand what they're asking?
Yeah. So when you're chosen by ancestors to do stuff, there are times where there are behaviors that are required of you or things that are required of you. You might not eat certain foods, certain animals, and so on. So the energy that is asking you to come home might have what it likes and what it doesn't like, and that could sometimes transfer onto you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mania. I was just about to text you. You're on it.
I try.
Thank you so much again. Before Adjeley leaves us, go ahead and drop some blue hearts in the chat to show her love and appreciation for her session. I actually found a lot of value out of it. I have not, unfortunately, been able to really focus on the presentations myself because I've been in the chat over here in the emails. So I look forward to going back to your session. I would love to have you on again sometime to answer more questions. So Adjeley, I'll connect with you afterwards, and then maybe we can have you back again at one of the VIP sessions. I know tonight it's about 5 hour difference. So tonight might not be possible, but maybe tomorrow sometime we can have you on again so you can answer some more questions. But thank you. See all the blue lights?
Yes, I'll try and come back. So hopefully you'll see me soon.
Thank you so much. See you later.